sport is a great propaganda tool.
100%.
And it is a massive unifier.
100%.
We could be using,
though temporary.
Athletics SA lost its registration the other day.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they allowed it. That's poor management.
Jeez, while the athletes are doing so well. Shout out to Simbine and the boys.
We are an amazing people. Think about, and we do not celebrate it. We tear our heroes down. Somehow the Springboks got through that and changed the dynamic for a long time. That Springbok, remember, as a kid in apartheid, Springboks were a magnificent thing from the past.
Yeah.
We lived in an ignorant world, man. The state owned the media. You saw nothing. You weren't exposed. There was no social media.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse, but it certainly was part of that.
It was a reality.
Context, man. We miss context every time we talk.
Yeah.
People go this, then that. Back to that one consideration was in terms of the white line, black line. Did the white line create that? Or is that historic for as long as man has been man? Dominating one tribe over another. The world's changed, Penwell. We are becoming a global race. We all come from the same place, man. Why don't we consider that? Apparently it's in Mossel Bay.
What's in Mossel Bay? You and I can speak this because we're both privileged.
Yeah.
In different ways.
To a degree.
So you have white privilege. I have, maybe we'd call it academic, which became
privilege is
economic.
Privilege. Let's take the white and black out. It's privilege.
For the majority of South Africans, it's still not
a reality.
It's unfair to ask you, and I know you attempted to answer, but I'm going to ask it again because maybe you'll give me a different attempt this time. I'm asking a white gentleman who's not under 35.
A lazy gentleman.
It's unfair because you haven't prepped. How do you reconcile an ordinary black person supporting a white business but voting for a black politician? And what should the conversation be to that ordinary black South African?
I don't reconcile. It's not my place to judge that, right? That's what democracy is. And I think if you're mature enough, you can have the conversation in the first place. Maybe we're not mature enough, Penwell, as a people, as the tribes. But a young black person wanting to vote EFF, I didn't marginalize that person. Maybe I'm different, right? But maybe we're so scared of the conversation, Penwell, and what it can bring. People have such fear. Everyone's trying to keep their head down and stay out of it. White people, they open their mouths and they typically come across really poorly.
Yeah.
They just...
With the best of intentions. It's actually quite sad.
Generally, the intention's spot on, and I hear it and I see it and I cringe. Am I now doing that? I could well be, man. I don't know. The intention was to meet someone to have a critical conversation. If you were doing that, didn't matter if that's a young person, old person, white, black, colored, Indian, doesn't matter. Have the damn conversation. But we don't do it. We believe in hierarchy. We put people on platform. We don't value ourselves. We don't value ourselves. It was the first lesson I learned in my business. What do I identify as? It took me years to figure out I'm an African, right? I was sitting in London in 1995. I decided to travel. Chris Hani was dead. Kodesa was a mess. Place was on fire. I felt like someone was sitting with a matchbox waiting to light it. I'd run away. I ran away from my country.
You ran away?
I went to go see the world. That's what I'm out, man.
Jeez.
An ignorant, naive kid. I arrived in London and it was like, wow. Where am I? I ran away from London in a day, man. Like, this place is chaos. Yeah? But when I came back, and I'd settled down and seen a bit of the country, and I really just backpacked around and worked as a labourer. I carried steel and did stuff, and I worked in a pub, and I did stuff to really just get me around. And I'd worked to make that money to go.
Sure.
When I was there, I met a group of people in a really quite dodgy hotel on the way out. It's all I could afford. It was terrible dodge. And we were talking, and I can't remember where the lady was from, but she said, I like your accent. I said, that's cool. She said, are you from Canada? I was like, no, man. I'm not from Canada. I don't speak it. I don't know it. But that's really, hey. They all say hey, which white South Africans love to do too, by the way. Maybe that was it. Hey. The point was, I sat there listening to this woman saying, you're a Canadian. And I thought about it, I said, oh, no, I'm from South Africa. And she looked at me and she said, oh, so you're African. And, I'm a 21-year-old. It's just left a country that's in the heart of a transition. And a light went on, because, in my experience of that, black people were called Africans.
Correct.
Afrikaners were called Afrikaners, was really quite confusing for me because that's African translated, but I'd never considered myself that. Never. And I think a month later I was home, man. I was done. I'd seen a little bit of it. It freaked me out. I thought, this is not a place for me. And I realized where home was, man. I knew my blood was here. Yeah, I just knew then. And subsequently I've been able to travel. I'm privileged. I've worked hard for that privilege. And in some places I've been given more gap than someone else, I'm sure. But in a lot of others, we've had to work for what we do. We're not recognized as a global corporate or a massive corporate. We fight for every job we get, But I have privilege, and I've been able to travel, and I've been able to see parts of the world, which I think is one of the greatest educators for humans.
That's correct.
If you can take people into other cultures and other places and realize that, A, there's a lot of stuff that happens the same or that has happened similarly, and B, that there's a lot of stuff that we need to learn from that's very different. The Buddhists taught me so much about just the respect for life. A dog in the road. Yeah, that thing's... Yeah. What does that mean, dog now, or is that something else? We use words very, we use words in a weaponized way, man. We've got to be careful. But those dogs, right? Yeah, they're wise. Thailand, that thing walks across the road, everyone stops. In a Buddhist culture, there's a real respect for that. There's other problems. There's other issues. But how is it that they can achieve that and we can't? Is it their religion? Is it their spirituality? Is it their regulation? What is it that drives people? What are the good things? So, I think if I could do a bit of magic again, it would be to, randomly pick some 18-year-olds up from every walk of life, every different tribe in this country. Yeah. Let's agree we're tribes. Let's respect our different tribes and agree that we're one country. I'll give you this in a minute because that was something we arrived at many, many years ago and never really tried to launch. But I think it's part of the answer. But let's agree we're tribes and let's get those tribes into a bus, a plane, a whatever, and take them for a journey around the world.